What's up, everybody? Welcome to Next Level Direct, Episode 4. I'm one of your co-hosts, Andrew. I make the show Midori, and I'm joined tonight by the tech guru, Agent Vincent 4756.
Hello, everyone.
How you doing, man?
I lost my voice. I'm doing...
It's all good. It's not a normal entrance from you unless it's awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be honest.
It always has to be awkward.
That's a part of it. It's a part of it at this point. Exciting stuff tonight. We are actually trying out multi-streaming for the first time. So we are actually live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, all three right now at the same time. And it's cool because I have all chats open. Everybody is present, and even on the visual of the stream itself, we have the chat there from all three channels at the same time. So maybe we'll bring in some oldies that haven't been around in a really long time. I did kind of do a pulse check on Facebook this week to see, like, is there anybody still here in this community of 500 people that knows we stream at this point? So, you know, we're trying, or at least I'm trying desperately to see if we can wrangle in some old folk. I feel like we need like a little bit of a refresh and a reboost and a reinvigoration, and I think this might help a little bit. We're trying things out. But welcome to the show. We got Evil Resonance in here. We got Mel, Brock, Kitty is here, which is so cool. Glad to have you here, Kitty. And anybody else that is in the chat, make yourselves known. Don't be shy, because Next Level Direct is... It goes by the name Direct, right? It's about connecting directly with you guys. It's a little bit more of a lackadaisical type, show. We don't go like through the agenda hardcore. It's supposed to be conversational. We got 4 topics tonight, as you can see on screen here. NVIDIA GeForce leak we're going to go into. We're also going to check out the Game Awards predictions. We're going to give some of our own. Then we're going to move on to Square Enix and their statement this past week that insinuates they regret choosing Crystal Dynamics for Avengers. We'll dive into that quote specifically. And then lastly, even though we haven't played it, we're going to dive into Elden Ring first impressions, at least what we have watched. We've watched a lot, both of us, of others playing Elden Ring, and we have a lot to say about it.
We do.
Put it that way.
We do.
So some quick plugs before we get into the conversation. I will be following up this stream of Next Level Direct with my Variety Gaming stream over at twitch.tv/a-level-up-show if you're not already there. I'll be playing the finale of Guardians of the Galaxy. If you are brand new here, hit that follow button, twitch.tv/a-level-up-show, turn on notifications, make sure you get alerts whenever we go live. And since we are multi-streaming, make sure to do the same thing over at youtube.com/a-level-up-network and fb.gg/the-level-up-network. Vince, coming back to streaming, I believe, in the very near future.
Near future.
Hopefully.
See what happens.
So go over to twitch.tv/AgentVincent4756, or maybe YouTube. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to see.
He hasn't quite decided yet, I don't think. But make sure to follow Vince on wherever he is streaming, because he is a fantastic streamer as well. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our topics for tonight. First up, GeForce Now leak seeming more and more real as time has gone on. Vince doing the due diligence. He's kind of gathered together a list here of some of the leaks and what has come true. And then we can go into what hasn't come true yet, but we now have to wonder if it will. Vince, what do you have?
Well, I'm sorry. I don't have like a really comprehensive list, but I have a list of things that were leaked that are categorized by, let's say, publisher or platform holder. So what's interesting here is, like, we go to Sony, you have Demon Souls, Drakni, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Gran Turismo 7, Helldivers 2, Horizon Forbidden West, Ratchet & Clank, Returnal, Sackboy: Big Adventure, and Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Edition. Legacy of Thieves Edition was announced, I forget when. We know God of War is coming to PC, and apparently Ghost of Tsushima's PC date has leaked, and it's going to be June of 2022.
And Sackboy: Big Adventure, I believe, showed up on Steam DB pretty recently as well. So
pretty recently.
A lot of these Sony first-party titles gradually making their way over to PC through Steam. Maybe in the future through some type of PlayStation store as well. We'll have to wait and see what their plans are there. But there's definitely a pattern. We've seen it. It's either 1 year or 2 years. Death Stranding was a little bit shorter because they kind of announced when it was revealed that Death Stranding would come to PC. But God of War took about 3 years, I want to say. Horizon took a couple years. Days Gone took a couple years. Seems like that's the pattern. So we're going to see Returnal there probably at some point. We're going to see Ghost of Tsushima. We're going to see Demon Souls, Sackboy, and many others. I think we all need to kind of wrap our minds around that future, that reality, that Sony isn't just about console exclusive anymore, and they shouldn't be. We've talked about this on the show already. There is absolutely no reason that 2 to 3 years after the game has released after they've sapped all the blood out of that stone, that they shouldn't get another 1 million or 2 million on PC. That's what they did with Horizon and Death Stranding. We got those numbers over the past couple of weeks, that Death Stranding actually did even better than Horizon. Close to 2 million, I want to say, on PC, where Horizon was like 1.5, but still solid. Some people might look at that and say, is it worth it? Yes, that is worth it. I promise you that is worth it. 1 million, 1.5 million times $60, which is what they're releasing it at. I don't know how much they get of that. If they're putting it on Steam, I would assume they get 70%.
Yeah, because like Valve would definitely be so if I remember right from Steam, it's 30% off initially, and then once you pass a certain threshold, they lower it down to 20% or something like that. So at this point now, when they start doing sales and whatnot, they're making money off that.
Now, what I really want to talk about though are some of the non-first party PlayStation stuff that's been leaked, if you want to say, on there. The big one for me, and this kind of feeds into this whole entire topic, kind of feeds into our Game Awards 2021 predictions. One of the crazy ones on there is Final Fantasy IX Remake, not remaster. It says Final Fantasy IX Remake. Chrono Cross, I can't remember if it says remake or remaster.
It says remaster.
Remaster, which is cool. What else is on there? Do you recall, Vince?
Kingdom Hearts 4 is one.
Okay.
Yep. Final Fantasy 16, which I think we already knew because that was announced as that. There's a Tactics remaster. We finally, I think we have 7's tentative, 7 remakes tentative PC.
Finally,
release.
right? What's taking that so long?
Tomb Raider Anniversary was another one from the Square Enix side of things. For Capcom, just to kind of go to another publisher here real quick, Monster Hunter 6, Dragon's Dogma 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and Street Fighter 6. And then what's even crazier for me is Take-Two Interactive. There's BioShock 2022, and then there's 3 entries for a BioShock remaster. Now, I think from what some people are thinking is we're thinking that's going to be like a ray tracing / like NVIDIA suite remastered, where it's going to be pushing like that type of stuff. But
okay,
it's pretty crazy.
Well, let me ask you first. What do you think of this GeForce leak? They've come out and tried to sort of, they're not calling it fake because it isn't fake. We all know it's real, but I think they're trying to sort of lessen its impact by saying that a lot of it is just like placeholder, speculative type stuff. But there's been like a handful at the least of games that have been announced since that leak that were on the leak.
Right.
God of War being one of them.
Right.
So what do you think? Like, what do you think Final Fantasy IX remake is actually? Let's start with that. Like, do you think that actually is a Final Fantasy IX remake? Do you think the NVIDIA leak is to be trusted there?
I do. And I think you brought up a good point when we were in our call, is that they have the show now in production, and they have, what is it, the current HD port, whatever you want to call it now on PlayStation Now, right? And there was that really weird blog post about like, come see what the future's going to have and everything like that, right? Like,
yeah, it was weird. It was kind of talking about the final impact of that story, that blog post, was that we have like created Final Fantasy IX together. Was that they were the sentiment of it, in that all the fan art and all of the love and outpouring, since it released back in 2000, I want to say, has kept the game alive. And so they were kind of saying like, join us in continuing to create Final Fantasy IX moving forward. And it's like, that's such a weird,
it's a weird way,
sort of maybe mistranslation or something of what they're trying to say. But the first time you read it right after this leak, you're like, is he trying to say that they're also creating something with Final Fantasy IX? It could just be that it's the remaster again releasing. I don't know if that PlayStation remaster ever came out on Steam, but I have this vibe that it's going to be something more than that. I don't think it's going to be Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be this huge, elaborate AAA mega scale remake of Final Fantasy IX. And I talked about this on my call. Tyler Thunder, welcome to the show from YouTube. I think what I would be okay with actually is take the original game, actually re-render the backgrounds, like truly render them. And I'm not even talking about AI upscaling. I'm talking about re-rendering them, modeling and everything, 4K or 8K even, and then also redo the character models, reorchestrate the soundtrack, buff up the combat system a little bit while still holding on to the turn-based nature of it, and add voice acting. Yeah. And I'm good to go. That's all I need. That would be an amazing remake to me that I would be over the moon about. You would see me, like, if the Game Awards next month has that as the Irish Celtic song thing that's going on for some strange reason, if that's what that is, I'm going to flip out on stream. Like, it's my second favorite game of all time, probably. So that would be amazing. I really hope that it's more than just a remaster, and that it's not just NVIDIA speculating on the future, but Chrono Cross is called a remaster in there. So if that one's called a remaster, why is 9 called a remake?
You're right.
I'd be okay. By the way, Chrono Cross remaster is really exciting to me as well.
Right.
That's all very exciting. What excites you the most on the NVIDIA leak? If anything, I don't even know if there's something on there for you.
Well, honestly, for me, it's Kingdom Hearts 4. Because you know, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to that, going back to that insanity of whatever the hell they have cooked up for that. You know, there's plenty of things that we could talk about how, you know, I hope they do this for the story and it's a reboot and this and that, but I'm just ready to go back, you know. I think the other thing that I'm most excited for there is Monster Hunter 6, and I'm curious about this BioShock 2022 title.
You know, that's a good segue, I think, into the Game Awards. Because that is, like, the Game Awards always has, like, 1 or 2 megatons, right? I would say. Let's not forget, Xbox Series X was announced. Revealed at the Game Awards, along with Hellblade: Senua's Saga. So that was huge. That's probably the biggest announcement we've ever had at the Game Awards. I think that something like BioShock 4, whatever we want to call it, could certainly be announced at the Game Awards. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's likely that we could get something like that next month?
I do. If I remember correctly, I feel like that's actually been kind of one of the titles that's been talked about consistently at like Sony events, or even there wasn't actually really no association with any Microsoft events, but there was talks about that, especially around E3, was BioShock, whatever they're doing, BioShock 4, whatever. And I feel like it's time, you know.
Actually, a good question in the chat related to this, to Nav. Yes, I'm going to do my very, very best to do a live reaction to the Game Awards. I hope Vince will join me as well, although I know he's not into award shows.
No, I'm there for the reveals, and I'm there for the spectacle of the whole thing.
And maybe we'll get Mike, maybe we'll get Tom, maybe we'll get Denny. I don't know. We'll try and get as many people as possible together for the Game Awards, because I love the Game Awards. I think it's very exciting. I get disappointed by it very often, but I still love the Game Awards, and I'm in it for the awards as well, which we'll get to in a little bit. We'll talk about what we think will be nominated and what we think will win. Let's stick with reveals for now. I think that BioShock is a definite possibility next month, I want to say. I think that Final Fantasy 16
it has to be definite, at this point.
It doesn't have to be, but if it's not, that means that they need to fix their messaging on their website. Their website literally says, still, as of right now, that they promise something else to be revealed in 2021.
Right.
And a lot of people thought it might have been the last state of play. Turned out it wasn't. There's not much else left, unless there is some secret surprise PlayStation experience still to be revealed. There's not really a lot left that they could show Final Fantasy 16 at besides the Game Awards. We've had 7 Remake at the Game Awards. They had the Cloud trailer there. We have Final Fantasy 15 with a terrible Titan showing, I want to remind you of. That was at the Game Awards. So Final Fantasy has been at the Game Awards. I do think 16 will be there. I'm not saying we're going to get a bombastic blowout, but if they wanted to, maybe they're still feeling like they're a little too far away to do a bombastic showing, they could do a trailer to just get it back in hearts and minds and say, look forward to maybe a season or you know, just a very vague reveal to come, you know, like our big blowout still to come. They don't have to even give anything more than that, but just to put it back in our brains. Like, so many people have been waiting a year, literally a year now, to see the re-reveal of Final Fantasy 16. I laugh at that, honestly, because I'm like, where were you during the Final Fantasy Versus 13 days? You have no idea what pain is. You have no idea. The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy Versus 13, that was pain. That was suffering. You guys had to wait 1 year. That's nothing. That's literally nothing compared to some of the stuff Square Enix has pulled in the past with Final Fantasy. But I do think the 16 could definitely be there. Let's go over to Xbox, actually. Xbox used the Game Awards for the reveal of Hellblade Senua's Saga. They used it for the reveal of Series X. Is it time? Do we finally see Senua's Saga once again?
It's weird because I almost feel like that this kind of need, I shouldn't say need, but it feels like this would be the appropriate place to re-reveal it again, because that was the, other than Halo Infinite, that was the first game really to be like, this is the Xbox Series consoles, right? And that the fact that this has been gone now for 2 years, well, not 2 years really, but like 2 years essentially, it's just, it needs to have, even if it's just like a little snippet of something, it needs, I think, to be there again.
If it is there, what are we expecting? Do we get gameplay? Do we get like actual gameplay slice?
I don't think we'll get gameplay again, but I don't think we're going to get a 24 frames per second letterbox trailer. Yeah. I think we'll get more of an in-engine dive, kind of how Halo Infinite did its Slipstream engine showcase. I think Ninja Theory will show off its Unreal 5 prowess, and I think it's going to be kind of like the whole, we had the really cool momentum of Sony with the Unreal 5 showing earlier this year. Last year, was it? God, it's amazing how time flies, right? And I think this is a good way to show off that type of stuff, especially if it's just like small snippets of that.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think Hellblade will be there. Okay. I want it to be there. I really do.
Yeah.
If it is there, I'm going to go out on another limb, although I don't think this is too much of a claim to make, but it'll look absolutely stunning. But it will not look like that review.
Right.
It will not look like that review.
No.
It can't. It literally can't. It's not going to be letterbox. It's not going to be 24 FPS. It just can't look like that review. Well, it'll look absolutely beautiful, but it's not going to look that good.
It's weird because I think they could get away with doing a letterbox format. I think it's allowed. I think it'd be okay if they did it. The Order 1886 did it. Evil Within did it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I could see it being a one-off technique that is done, especially with these widescreen modes and everything like that. I could see that being the case. But the 24 frames per second and the overall detail of that reveal can't be matched. Yeah. I don't.
Here's the thing: like they can do it. Death Stranding just did it. They can have a widescreen mode. A lot of games nowadays, director's cuts have the widescreen mode for people with that format. But the base game still needs to cater to 16:9 aspect ratio, and that is going to be what 99% of people play as. So I'm saying to those people, even if they present it at the Game Awards once again in letterbox, keep in mind that it's not going to look like that for you, because they are literally removing like a third of the rendering resources by doing that. That's why the Order 1886 still to this day is one of the best looking games. Like, honestly, I still feel like Order 1886 holds up incredibly well.
Incredibly, as a fantastic art direction for that game, and along with a fantastic material stuff like that. But that's the thing, it's like you start looking at it, there's really not a lot of complexity to the overall scene, and that's what makes that game stand out,
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to the chat here for a second. Trasford, welcome to the show. I cannot help you with calculus. I don't remember it. Polytry, they can just show the version running on a 3090 and it'll look like that. I mean, no, the PS5 and Series X aren't quite that strong, right? We're a little bit below 3090. Are we like what, 3070 even?
We're close more to 2070 with a little bit above punch weight is really what it comes down to it.
So not quite that good.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just one of those things. It's not. Again, with the reveal, if you go back and watch every single inch of that reveal, there is way too much detail and individual textures on wood, on rock, on every single material that is not going to be present in the game.
Yeah, I really, really highly doubt it. If it's there, man, holy shit, they've killed it.
Then they did it. But then the thing is, I just don't think it's going to be super interactive. It's very much going to be a point A to point B walk.
Jay Jean, welcome from Facebook, saying perhaps JRPG will be going to Tales of Arise. We'll be talking about our predictions on that. But yeah, Tales of Arise, I haven't played it, but I've heard amazing things about Tales of Arise. The best reviewed Tales of game, I want to say, at this point, because of the amount of reviews it has and how hard review scale has changed since 10, 20 years ago. Fable trailer, what do we think? Fable trailer.
I don't know, because I feel like Playground, as much as for like her Forza came out, right? I just don't feel like that's going to be something that we instantly jump on right with that. I think we have Halo Infinite. We have a couple things like that. I think Fable's too far out. If anything, you'd probably see like Avowed or something like
Yes,
that.
I
there.
agree. Because if we go by order of reveal, first off, Hellblade: Senua's Saga is the worst. That was
Right.
originally revealed with the console, so that one's the longest wait. Then you have things like Avowed. You also have, I want to say there was one other in there. I think Perfect Dark might have even been before Fable.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of just got that again with their kind of visual showcase of what they're doing. They finally revealed the title for what it was. We have Everwild, but we also know Everwild has also been thrown back now because of where they're at with that development.
Mm-hmm.
We have Outer Worlds 2 with their announcement.
That was
this
a very, that was a clear teaser. That game's really far away. Contraband, very far away, I would imagine. Redfall, I would
Redfall's
imagine.
supposed to come out in April, if I remember.
Yeah, so I
right.
think that could be there, actually. I could see that being there next month. Redfall could definitely
and
be
especially, remember, that's Arcane. So Arcane's going to be riding high if Deathloop does kind of come in here. Again, we'll be talking more about this, but if Deathloop does do what we think it's going to do, that synergy. We see a lot of that type of stuff happen at the Game Awards.
So that's kind of the Xbox end there. They've got a few things they could jump to. Let's jump over to PlayStation. We talked already about this rumored remake. Supposedly that is a PlayStation remake. We're going off of this interview that happened with a Irish Celtic singer from a month ago that said that she is working with the composer on the Xeno series, like Xenoblade, things like that, and they're creating some type of new music for a PlayStation remake that, according to them, is a big remake. They didn't know that it was. They are not gamers, but they've checked, they said, and it is a big remake according to them. They said it would be revealed in December. I don't know how the heck they would know that kind of thing, but they said it'd be revealed in December. The only thing that really lines up with that is the Game Awards.
Right.
So what is it?
I don't know. I've scratched my head on that, and that just shows you I kind of don't know older IPs on PlayStation side, if that's the case. And I just don't know what Celtic... There's not a lot that goes with me with Celtic, I don't get it.
Metal Gear Solid does, but it seems like it won't be that because it sounds like they're doing like a full suite of music, not just one song.
Right.
So that, which is the one song from Metal Gear Solid at the very end, the credits song. So I don't think it would be that. Xenogears is more appropriate, Paula, than Xenosaga. Xenogears is a PlayStation 1 remake that would have to be. I just don't think... Personally, I don't think the audience is there for something like that, to do like a big scale remake. To do like an Octopath Traveler type remake, like For the Gamers brings up, which, by the way, I think Final Fantasy VI deserves more than that. I think 6 deserves a big remake, personally. That's considered by many to be the best Final Fantasy ever, so I think that one deserves a huge remake. But Xeno? Yeah, I could see something like Octopath Engine being used with Xeno, but that's not enough. Based on that interview, that's not enough for it to be what we're talking about here. We know that Blue Point was just acquired. They're working on new content, but they're probably also working on a remake as well. But I think the new content is going to be revealed first, so I don't think it's going to be anything from them. Some people think Legend of Dragoon. Again, I don't know if the audience is large enough for that to be a big deal. I'm at a loss for words on this one. I'm kind of stumped on what it could possibly be.
Yeah, the only thing about like Legend of the Dragoon that makes me think that is because I see that all the time. People like hoping for it, whereas I don't see like Xenogears or Xenosaga. I don't see that very often, or I should say, not nearly as much as Dragoon I do. But at the same time, I don't know if that fits. That doesn't fit, like from what I understand, that doesn't fit the shoe.
Yeah.
So
the next things we have coming from PlayStation are, of course, Horizon Forbidden West and Gran Turismo 7. I could easily see either one of those getting like a short little trailer at this, but it really wouldn't be that big a deal to me. We're getting a lot of little teasers for Gran Turismo over the past month. A lot of things I've seen, I think kind of have like a series of videos coming out right now. And we've already seen a lot of Horizon. I know we keep seeing the beach environment, which I agree, it's like the same environment over and over again, but I kind of don't need to see any more of that game. I'd be okay seeing more, but I don't need to see anything more. The next thing after that is probably God of War. Could we get another Ragnarok trailer? I don't think so at this. I don't think we need another Ragnarok trailer so soon after a 3-minute one that we just received.
No, unless they're doing like an actual like 15-minute deep dive, which I don't think is appropriate for the Game Awards in that type of sense. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's the only thing that feels like God of War needs. Like Horizon State of Play was perfect enough to me to go like, I'm getting this game. I don't care about anything else. That's all God of War Ragnarok needs to technically do now.
I think
for
if
anyone.
PlayStation were to do anything, it wouldn't be first party.
No.
It would be some partnership. Now, that could be Deviation, that could be Firewalk, that could be Haven, or it could be something like BioShock. Which, again, there's been rumors, speculation, very, I would say, soft speculation on this. It's kind of just based on early talk before the generation began from people like Kind of Funny's, what's his name from Kind of Funny? That was talking before the generation began about Imran Khan. He was talking before the generation began about how he was blown away by what PlayStation was spending their money on as far as third-party partnerships go. And he said people are going to be like just shocked by what they have picked up. And for some reason, a lot of minds went to BioShock, which wasn't too long before that revealed to be worked on by Cloud something. Do you remember what their name is? I want to say it has Cloud in the name, the new studio working on BioShock. Because it's not Ken Levine. Let's point that out. It's not Ken Levine working on this new BioShock.
I want to say Cloud9, but at the same time, I'm not confident in that.
Maybe somebody in the chat can help us out on which one that was. But it's been a while. It's been a fair amount of time now since that reveal that they had been working on it for some time. Like, they didn't announce it like, hey, we're just starting production on BioShock. It's, no, we've actually put together this team and they've been working on BioShock for a little while now. So it's probably been 2+ years since they started working on it pre-production levels. Is it far enough along that they could at least announce it? Maybe. I could say that it's far enough along that they could announce it.
So what's your environment that you're hoping to see for this next BioShock? I mean, think about it. BioShock 1 and 2 were underwater. 3, Infinite was in the clouds.
Space is the only thing that really makes sense to me. I don't know where else you could go besides space, right?
Yeah.
Into the Earth, maybe.
That was actually, I think that actually corresponds with the one, I don't want to say leak, but the one thing that came out about that. It was something about like
subterranean?
Subterranean, middle US, network of trains, very vertical in level design on going where up and down, stuff like that. If that's the one thing I remember from that, but that was like way long ago.
I'm not Cloud Chamber. Thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you.
I wonder like if that is going to be a palette that's visually impressive in the same way that the sky was in Infinite and the under the water was in BioShock.
I think you could make that pleasant if you were working very hard on like not only your rock surfaces, but like, lots of vegetation, lots of sporadic like springs and stuff like that, like water and everything like that. I think, and with a very stark lighting system, I think you could make that work really well.
They're going to have to get creative. It can't be as simple as rock.
Space is going to be hard if that's the case
is tough.
Too.
Yeah, space is tough unless you're doing like actual like a planet traveling, which I don't know. It
just seems like
are you just on a space station the whole time? Like, yeah, that's a tough one. Speaking of space stations and things like that, Callisto Protocol. Something that I'm really excited about. I'm super excited a lot of the old alumni, Dead Space alumni. It was a great little reveal. No gameplay whatsoever. It was a CGI reveal, I want to say, but it had these sort of touchstones of Dead Space, whether it be the lights on the back of the neck, little things like that to let you know, like, oh, this is spiritual successor almost to something like Dead Space. Could we get that here?
I would hope so, because I want to see more of that. Plus, that Unrated Eye trailer for that game also really creeped me out, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah. Did we get that reveal at the Game Awards? I'm trying to remember.
We got that reveal at the Game Awards.
So. Yeah,
that was one of my highlights last year for me.
Yeah.
That was super, super happy with that.
Another one I would like to see that I think was at a Jeff Keighley show recently, but not the Game Awards, was the one from the team that was formed from Playdead. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a really cool reveal trailer about the man and his family and the dog, and they're running through this environment with the nails seemingly splintering through the sky, and I can't remember the name of it, but it looks so cool to me. I would love to see that here, or I would love to see what Playdead is doing.
Yeah.
Which I want to say Somerville?
I think that's the other one that you were talking about.
Oh, maybe that is the one that's the offshoot. So what is Playdead working on?
That's the thing. I don't think we know what Playdead's working on. If I remember right, it was a top-down isometric thing that came out from one of the leaks, but again, there wasn't really much weight behind that leak.
Yeah. You're right. Somerville is the one that was revealed at the Jeff Keighley show. That would be cool to see more of.
That would be awesome to see.
It would also be cool to see what the heck Playdead is working on. Although, let's remember, it took them like 5 years to make Inside. And it makes sense why. I mean, don't get me wrong. That game is unbelievable. The amount of like detail that went into that game. Every single animation is fine tuned to like to the moment. Everything feels organic and real. It's like one of the most impressive indie titles I've ever seen. I think it's an amazing game, like almost a perfect game, honestly. So take as much time as you need, Play Dead. But yeah, I would love to see where their minds are at creatively on what they're going to do next. Josh, welcome over there on YouTube, and Rick coming in here as well with the Adam emotes. A while ago, there was a picture they released that had some astronauts, I thought. Like just a single picture of some. I don't remember that, actually.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But hopefully we get a little bit more from Playdead very soon. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we could maybe hope to see. Let's go to Nintendo. What about Breath of the Wild?
I mean, Breath of the Wild. Yeah, that's really all the show. I mean,
Metroid Prime 4. Who's got Metroid Dread? They're riding that high.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's not going to be a thing for a while. Still, I don't know. The only thing I could think of would be like Splatoon 3 would be showing off some more there.
Please no. Please no.
There's really not a lot there for me. I mean, Breath of the Wild 2 is just so gargantuan in size that I feel like that's all they need to say, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Josh, I would be surprised and feel lucky if Breath of the Wild 2 came out in 2022 at this point.
Yeah.
The way they announced that, like by the end of 2022, makes me feel like it's at the very end of 2022, which makes me also think that they can easily delay it into 2023. So I'd rather not hope for that, or not expect it, I guess I should say. I'm always hoping to see Breath of the Wild 2. I want to see what like they're going towards in this underground, environment, and I'm kind of wondering if we're gonna get a little bit of both, a little bit above ground, a little below ground. Does Zelda do below ground while Link does above ground? Do we get to play as both? There's a lot of speculation on what can happen there. Pokemon Legends Arceus is another one that could happen. GTA 6, I really doubt it. Rockstar is kind of carrying their own tune and just kind of does their own thing. So.
I mean, that would be the place, though, right there. If they wanted to really
think so?
It depends on how they wanted to do it. Because I remember we had, GTA 5 have a re-reveal there at the PS4 E3 when that happened and everything like that. I could see that being a thing if GTA 6 is moving away from the current model that Rockstar has been doing, which has been that rumored evolving map, evolving the whole cryptocurrency market built inside the game. I could see that being a thing if it's going to be this gargantuan thing, or if it's like, hey, GTA 6 is GTA Online, could be a huge thing.
Let's jump back to the leak real quick. You said Street Fighter 6 was in there?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That's
to
Capcom.
See what the future of Street Fighter is, and once again to see if it's exclusive to PlayStation. That's a very big question. So that would be cool to see. What else was there on the leak?
There was Monster Hunter 6, which I think would have been World 2, which I don't think we're going to see that.
No.
That's not the place for that, I don't think. The only title that strikes out to me that Capcom would actually put out there for the Game Awards would be Resident Evil 4 Remake. I would see that being a huge thing.
Do you think 4 Remake comes before 9? I would think so, right?
Yes, I believe that's kind of been the cadence. 7, Remake 2, then they did Remake 3 because that was supposed to be the whole thing, but then it was 8, and now I just feel like 9's too far out. I feel like it has to be 4 Remake. Plus, I think I had dates for this, and I can't find the document. That was actually a thing that was on the GeForce leak. It was like earliest street holder date was like November 12th of 2022 or something like that for that. So
yeah, I agree with you, Vince. I agree with Rick as well. 4 Remake 100% before 9. Josh says, I just hope GTA 6 is just like single player campaign. That's the only thing I care for when it comes to GTA, because cheats and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Also, I just want to thank, we are getting some subs on YouTube and some follows as well on Twitch. We got Jan coming over on YouTube and Khan coming over on YouTube as well with the subs. Thank you so much. Magic Cast coming in with the follow here on Twitch. Keep them coming, guys. Hit that heart button here, or sub on YouTube, follow on Facebook, do all those things. Was there anything else GeForce wise that we could touch on? I don't think so.
Do you think Kingdom Hearts has a chance here?
I don't think so.
It is the 20th anniversary, though, isn't it? Like currently going on right now, right? Or is it? I can't remember now. I
want to say Kingdom Hearts 1 came out in like 2003, maybe
Someone help me out
2004?
here because I can't quite remember. I feel like
So it's not the 20th anniversary. I think it's too early to be that. Final Fantasy X came out 20 years ago.
okay.
Metal Gear Solid 2 came out 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts was a little later than that. So we're not quite at the 20th anniversary.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think we're quite there yet myself. I would love to see what the future of Kingdom Hearts is. I'm so excited to see if it might change drastically from what's come before, and I want it to, in all honesty.
I feel like it's going to in aspects of it. I feel like with how they're wrapping up the mobile game, I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to do a comprehensive, hey, this is everything that happened in the background. Here, cool, let's go and start this new. Go, have fun.
Well, that's really amazing to me. Rose just came in. It was 2002, so just a year later than Final Fantasy X and Metal Gear Solid 2, Kingdom Hearts was released.
Man, that's crazy. That is crazy.
PS2 was a juggernaut, man. Absolute juggernaut.
Oh my god, absolute.
But speaking of next gen, the tease is coming from Jeff Keighley are just that. He said, quote, true next gen stuff, end quote, will be at the Game Awards. He also said Orchestra is back live on stage. It has the biggest lineup yet, and I think this is something we really need to keep in mind. He said 40 to 50 games to be featured in some capacity. New game announcements in the double digits. So let's say like a dozen, maybe, new games. Most of what we're going to see here are things we already know about. Lots of DLC to games we already are playing. Things like that are what we're mostly going to get. But something really exciting to me is that he also said, quote, a lot of content for 2022 and 2023. So we're kind of going a little far out with the Game Awards. And I know a lot of people will get bummed out about those kind of things where games are revealed too early, but I can't lie that it does excite me a little bit to know true next-gen stuff, 2023, to see like really what is on the horizon, what's actually going to be like the true PS5 Series X generation, because we haven't gotten there yet. No. Returnal was great, and Ratchet and Clank was great. But God of War is cross-gen, Horizon is cross-gen, GT7 cross-gen. We got a while to wait for Spider-Man 2, while to wait for Wolverine. We haven't really seen what this generation is going to do for us.
Right.
One thing that I saw this past couple weeks was Honor of Kings. Have you seen that trailer that went around? It is actually like the biggest game in the world, which I had no idea. I think it's a Chinese game. And it has like 100 million active players. Like it's unbelievable how many people play this game, but it's been mobile up until now. So they're finally jumping into true console release with this Honor of Kings. Dude, you got to look at the freaking video for this thing. It's I can't imagine it's real. It can't be. It looks like straight up CGI. It looks so pre-rendered to me. If it's real and like supposedly it's using Unreal Engine 5 and all this, it's like, wow, like this is like what I'm waiting for.
Right.
This is the kind of shit I want to see that we're still waiting for. We're still not there yet.
No.
So there's a lot to look forward to, and I think the Game Awards might be a peak at that this year.
It's going to be fun.
Let's jump on over to nominations and winners. We are going to get the nominations officially on the 16th, they said, which is a little bit weird to me since eligible games have until the 19th to be included, right?
Yeah. That's kind of like the weird thing right now with I almost kind of wish the Game Awards was like it was in January. I feel like December games get shafted. Like let's be real. Halo Infinite cannot get nominated at all this year.
No.
Even though it comes out in December 8th.
Final Fantasy Endwalker technically can't get a no, yeah.
Like it's just one of those things where I'm just like it doesn't make sense to me. Like I feel like the show has enough weight now to where you can put it in January, start off the year, make that a really cool thing, have his Summer Games Fest be the middle of the year. I think it's a really great 1-2 punch there. That's how I feel.
I agree. I do think they should push it back. It doesn't need to like bookend the year. It can be a celebration of the year that came before.
Right.
That's what I think. Makes so much more sense to me. It's different than like the Oscars. They don't call Best Picture Movie of the Year. It's different. It's just Best Picture. But when you're talking about Game of the Year, then it should be the entire year. Like then it's just weird. It's like, oh, it's the year is from December 2020 to December 2021. That's just odd. That's awkward. Game of the Year is the entirety of 2021. That's the way they should do it. Rick agrees. Some say Cyberpunk 2077 could show up as a nominee. It could. It still is, when it comes to well-running hardware, considered to be a good game, maybe even a very good game. It just has so much controversy surrounding it. I don't know if I don't think it'll get nominated just because I feel like Game Press, which are the ones that choose the nominees, are not going to support that game.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't, there's like not a lot of talking behind it. Now, I think if plans would have worked, if CDPR would have gotten its next gen patches out, its other few patches out, and everything like that, and we would have had like almost kind of like almost like a relaunch of the game, I think it would have had a little bit more weight here. I could see it being like in a nominee category of like best open world or something like that, but it's not going to be like in the game of the year nominations. Keanu Reeves might get like best actor or something like that in that nominee category, but like again, it's just that,
You know who should get best actor?
Who?
Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
That entire cast needs some more recognition because holy shit.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy Game of the Year. I don't think it'll get nominated, but it is a fantastic game. I really enjoyed it. It's a very surprising game. But let's talk about what we actually think will be nominated. Let's get one from you. Well, maybe we'll go back and forth here. What do you think?
I definitely think Returnal is on the list.
I agree. I think Returnal will get nominated.
Yeah.
I hope that it gets nominated.
I hope it gets nominated too.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb. I think you disagree with me here. I think Metroid Dread will at least get a nomination.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't feel like that's going to be on the Game of the Year nominations. I for sure think it's going to be on Best Nintendo and a few other categories. I just do not see it on the Game of the Year list for whatever reason. It's weird. It's
okay, well, I'll say Psychonauts 2 then. We'll definitely get nominated.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. 100%. It's like what, the second best reviewed game of the year?
Yeah, Psychonauts 2 will definitely get nominated.
Yeah, Psychonauts 2 definitely for sure. I feel like Deathloop will be nominated for Game of the Year.
There's a bunch that are like right there. And I feel like Ratchet and Clank, Deathloop, Metroid Dread, they're all at that like 87, 88 on Metacritic range.
Right.
Which, let's point out, by the way, this year doesn't really have a front runner at all.
No.
Like, they're all in that same camp of like 88, 89, maybe 90. Is there any that's a 90? Forza Horizon, but I'll be honest, I don't think Forza Horizon is going to get nominated.
I think Psychonauts 2 is if I remember right, it's either an 89 or it's a 90 now on OpenCritic. Yeah. Out of like 177 reviews. Yeah. I know it's like the second highest. It Takes Two is tied for that game in critic score.
That's the other one that we need to talk about. It Takes Two. Yeah. But let me say before that, I think Forza Horizon 5 should be nominated.
Yeah.
I think it deserves to be nominated. It's got 91, 92 on Metacritic. It's the best reviewed game of the year, I want to say. Outside of like remasters or something like that. Like,
right.
God, what's the one that you love? The narrative-driven one, RPG, director's cut that came out this year. Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium.
That has like a 95 or something on Metacritic.
Yeah, no, that wasn't going to be nominated anyway because that was just a definitive.
Yeah, but I'm just pointing out, like, when it comes to best reviewed game of the year, Forza Horizon 5 really is the game. It'll get nominated for best racing game, but it just usually gets forgotten when it comes to game of the year for whatever reason. So I think that's going to be the same thing this year, unfortunately.
I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It just passed 8 million people playing that game.
Because of Game Pass. I mean,
I know, but I'm saying, like, even then, though, there's definitely more attention on this title than it was, like, with her, like 4 and everything like that.
I think what's getting it attention, and this is not at all trying to disparage Forza Horizon, but if I had Game Pass, I would try out Forza Horizon 5 for 5 minutes. Even though I hate simulation racing for the most part, and the reason I would try it is because it looks freaking insane. I just want to see what it looks like. Right? So I bet like several million of those people that are playing it have no desire to play it a month from now. They're just like, let me see this game. This game looks absolutely insane. And I have Game Pass. Like, why not? Like, why not try it out? You know what I mean? I have a feeling that's probably a lot of people playing Forza Horizon. It'll end up still having 5, 6, 7 million players. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think because it's going to get to like 10 million very soon in players means that it's going to stay there. It's just Game Pass gives it that boost. Outriders had 3 million at the beginning. What happened to Outriders?
A lot happened to Outriders.
Yeah, like where'd that game go? Where's Outriders now? 3 million people are playing Outriders. That game's nowhere to be found. I mean, it's the Game Pass boost that happens at the start. Not to disparage Forza Horizon, because I do think it deserves to be nominated for sure. Do we think It Takes Two gets nominated?
I would think so. Considering how unique the game is, I mean, that was the start of the year, you know? That and Psychonauts 2, well, not Psychonauts 2, but that kind of really started the year. Then Returnal, and then you had Ratchet along with Psychonauts 2 and everything like that in August. I mean, for Psychonauts 2, I mean, like It Takes Two was the start of the year, and I feel like that's stuck around for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one of the best co-op experiences I've had, probably since Portal 2. So I think it deserves to be nominated. It's tough because I go back and forth on which one I like better, that or Ratchet and Clank. It Takes Two is more innovative and inventive when it comes to the gameplay, but it really did not land for me from a story perspective. Like, really did not. Like, it was actually a detriment to the game for me, the story on that one. Whereas Ratchet, even though it's not breaking any new ground, was a really well-told story, really fun, great music, great voice acting, great presentation. So a little bit more of the same, but really polished, just like beautiful game, one of the best looking games of the generation. So that's like the balance there that I'm trying to figure out, is like which one gets nominated. Maybe both do. I think they said 6 games will be nominated.
6 games. So how many do we have on our list now? We have Returnal,
for sure. I think I agree. Returnal for sure. Metroid Dread possibly. Let's just say that's number 2. It Takes Two possibly 3. Ratchet and Clank possibly 4. Deathloop possibly 5. And then the other one we were sure of was Psychonauts 2. That's 6.
Yeah, it's a weird list.
It is a weird list.
I do not think Resident Evil Village will be nominated, just so everyone's clear. I don't think so either. That title, for whatever reason, did not have the staying power that it really honestly should have. Guardians is a weird thing too, because Guardians just reminds me a lot of Fallen Order in that aspect, to where like it made the cutoff, unlike Fallen Order did, where Fallen Order did not make the cutoff of that year. So there's a chance there, but I don't see that being quite ready to be put on the Game of the Year's list, because it's also one of the more lower reviewed games out of that major series. I think it's like down to like 80, I think, now in Open Critic or something like that. It's weird.
It's definitely a little lower than 7. I know that for sure, and it does feel like the overall reception is lower. Just people came out of it less positively than they did with 7. I actually liked it more than 7 overall, not by a lot. Don't get me wrong, it was pretty neck and neck, but overall I think I probably liked it a little bit more than 7. I do think it gets snubbed. I do think that Guardians gets snubbed. Kena should be nominated. I'm going to say no. I really liked Kena, and I think it shows tremendous promise for Ember Lab. I think that they have an amazing future ahead of them, and I kind of hope it's with Sony. I think they fit that mold really, really well. But this one wasn't quite there yet. I think they still have a little bit of growing to do before they're ready for a Game of the Year nominee title. No, is there anything we're missing that could be nominated?
I mean, there's probably like a title or two. Like, it's weird because we don't have like a lot of curveballs coming out this year, like Disco Elysium in 2019, where no one really heard about it. And then it was like, why has this game gotten 6 awards? You know, and I went and played it, and I was like, this makes sense on why this game got 6 awards. But yeah, I just
jump over to Metacritic. Actually, let's do Open Critic real quick and look at their Hall of Fame right now. Their Hall of Fame: Forza Horizon 5, number 1. Bustafellows.
That's a weird visual novel that doesn't have a lot of reviews if you look at it.
Psychonauts 2, here, these are like all tied, but Psychonauts 2 and It Takes Two are tied at 89. Ratchet and Clank right behind that at 88. Monster Hunter Rise right behind that at 88. Overboard right behind that, 88. Death's Door, 88. Deathloop, 88. Tales of Arise, 87. I think that'll definitely get Best RPG, but I don't think it'll get nominated for Game of the Year, I don't think. Yeah, we're kind of touching on all of them, really.
Yeah, really. And that's the thing. It's a question of if Dread makes the list.
What about Chicory? I've heard really good things about Chicory.
I've heard good things about it, but again, I haven't played it. You know, I know it reviewed really well, didn't it?
Oh yeah, 87. Yeah.
Yeah, because Resident Evil Village was around what, 86 or 85 now at this point. Is it in the Hall of Fame still?
No. Resident Evil Village is lower. I thought you said it was like down towards the 80.
No, it's. I'm sorry. Guardians is definitely like more down to the 80s now. It dropped a little bit harder.
Metroid Dread is 87. Death Stranding Director's Cut 86.
That would be hysterical if that made Game of the Year.
Yeah, right. Resident Evil Village is 84.
84. Okay, I know it had dropped because it had debuted at like an 87, 86, and it did drop then.
Yeah, I think we're kind of like in the ballpark.
We're on it. We're in the ballpark.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be tough. There's some, like we just said, like so many games are literally an 88. Like they're all kind of in the same. The only one that's an outlier is Forza Horizon 5. And ironically, that's probably the one that might not even get nominated.
Right. I mean, I would love Hitman 3 to be nominated, but I also understand its chances there, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think that's actually a good opportunity to show like value and like how that game was a game that went all over these 3 titles. But it's going to get best at, shouldn't say it's going to get best. It's going to be nominated in other categories. I think IO actually might get nominated for best developer, but we'll see.
Mass Effect Trilogy should be nominated. It reviewed very, very well.
It did.
And it deserves to. It's a great remaster. Great value, 3 games for $60. Definitely a great value, especially when you look at it in comparison to Grand Theft Auto, the Definitive Edition that just released and is a complete disaster with a 0.5 user score. So I do think it deserves some recognition. Game of the Year, no, but if there's a best remaster category, 100%. That should be
actually
there.
kind of funny. It's almost we need to kind of have that category now.
100% we do. Intergrade should be on there without a doubt. Intergrade's such an amazing remaster to me. That game is completely different at 60 FPS. The lighting changes were beautiful, and I really enjoyed Intermission. So I thought that was a great. That's like the best PS5 upgrade I think that's out right now. I do want to point out, I'm really happy to see that we've got 6 people watching on YouTube. We got 2 people on Facebook, a bunch of people on Twitch. That is so cool that all the channels are being used tonight. I see Paolo, coming in on YouTube saying Hitman 3, as you said. Vince, welcome to everybody watching. I'm Andrew. This is Vince. If you are new, hit that follow button here at Twitch. Hit that sub on YouTube. Hit that follow on Facebook. Wherever you're watching from, we do this show once a month, and we also do another gaming talk show, a longer format gaming talk show on the 4th Sunday of every month. That one's called Next Level Gamescast. So come back for that as well. Life is Strange was the worst game I've ever seen, he says. I get the joke. That's one I actually didn't even think about, though. I'll be honest. Life is Strange 3. Or I shouldn't even call it that. It's Life is Strange True Colors.
Yeah.
Definitely could get some recognition, but I don't think it's got a chance at Game of the Year nomination.
I just don't know who's going to take music, and I don't know who's going to take art direction. Like I just don't know. Everyone on this year was pretty much on their ball game with that.
Well, let's go to the finale here. What do you think will we win Game of the Year, and what do you want to win Game of the Year?
It's hard. It's really, really hard. I'm struggling between Returnal and Deathloop. Like every day, it's a struggle between which one do I want to win. So I feel like Deathloop's gonna win. I feel like Deathloop it has a little bit more of the representation aspect behind it. It's kind of playing into that a little bit, not to say like this is all about politics or anything like that, but I hope people are understanding what I mean by that. It's actually a landmark title. It is an extremely huge landmark title in game development, for how that dev team is and everything like that. But at the same time, I can also see that being said for Returnal, a game that went way out of a developer's toolkit, essentially, with scale and everything like that, and they made a game different than what they've ever made before. It's really hard. That's
why, even though Returnal is not my favorite game of the year, as I think everybody knows, it's up there for sure, but it's not my favorite game of the year. I want Returnal to win, actually. Because Housemarque and what they've been able to accomplish from what they came from, almost studio closure, I would imagine. Going towards the Battle Royale route, which was the worst decision they could have made, and somehow finding their way down the right path and doing such an amazing job moving into what I will call AAA development. I think for sure it is AAA development from them. It deserves so much respect, and I think it really is an amazing game, and I think it has its own form of representation. You don't get a lot of middle-aged women, white woman, sure, but still a middle-aged woman. You don't usually get that type of protagonist in a video game, and I think that deserves a little bit of recognition as well. I agree with you. What I think will win, it's tough. This is a tough one.
It's a hard thing, right?
I don't think it's going to be Deathloop. I'll say that. I don't think it's going to be Deathloop. Part of me really thinks Psychonauts 2 stands a chance, actually. It's a kind of like a little bit of a darling title, and I feel like people might feel like, hey, let's give them Double Fine, Tim Schafer, an award that I don't think that they've ever received, or maybe even really been considered for. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, I don't think will win. It Takes Two, I don't think will win.
Yeah. Dread, I don't think either. If it makes that nomination, I do not think it will.
Yeah, I think Dread. I do think Dread will be nominated myself, but yeah, I don't think it'll win. I think its difficulty actually might be a little bit of a deterrent from that happening. I do hear a lot of complaints about its difficulty, which I think is somewhat frustrating, actually very frustrating. That it seems like some of the negativity I see surrounding that game is that it's too difficult and things like that, or not AAA enough, which again is also complete bullshit.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't have an answer, though. I don't know that I have an idea this year on what's going to win.
Yeah. I mean, I think for sure, if anything, we are both in agreement that we would like to see Returnal win.
Yes.
I would like to see Deathloop as well. Like, that's the thing. It's a tie between that for me. If I have to put a list down, I'm going to put Returnal and Deathloop on the same pedestal at this point. You know, that's the hard part. So I don't know. I'm hoping Returnal.
Well, as I said, we're very much going to be trying to do a live reaction to the Game Awards next month. I want to say it's December 9th. So once again, hit that follow button, subscribe, turn on alerts. Make sure you come back, get on our Discord as well to keep up to date on events and all the things that we're doing. Discord.gg/levelup network. I'm sure it'll be posted in the chat. Right now, though, we do have a couple smaller topics to end off the show with. Let's talk about Square Enix real quick. They came out, I think it was the president, giving a statement about Avengers. It was Yosuke Matsuda who said, quote, "Taking on the games as a service model highlighted issues that we are likely to face in the future game development efforts, such as the need to select game designs that mesh with the unique attributes and tastes of our studios and development teams." He is, of course, talking about Avengers and the studio Crystal Dynamics. While the new challenge that we tackled with this title produced a disappointing outcome, we are certain that the games as a service approach will grow in importance as gaming becomes more service oriented. How we go about creating new experiences by incorporating this trend into our game design is a key question that we will need to answer going forward. So the insinuation here is that they don't really regret doing games as a service, I don't feel like, because they're saying it's still the future. Their regrets, it seems, is that Crystal Dynamics wasn't the right team to take on that challenge. Not to say that Crystal Dynamics is a bad team, but not the team that should have taken on this challenge. Do you agree with that assessment of what he's saying?
Yeah, in certain aspects of it. The hardest thing for me that I have about that type of stuff is that, like, well, you know, you're also like, the team's a team. A team's going to do what their leaders and their development team can do, right? But at the same time, a company still has to, you know, support that decision. And that's the thing that sucks about Avengers, is that you don't feel like you get a lot of that. Let me pull back even more. Square Enix European branch does not feel like it gets the support that the Japanese branch does. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
From how all the games come out, they have Eidos Montreal, who just did Guardians, who also worked on Avengers, who again showcased brilliant art style, fantastic casting direction, and everything like that. But you still have this really rough sheen of a game. You know, you have this really rough, like, there's still components put together, right?
And also a lack of confidence, I felt
right.
Like. They did not put that game out there at all, which is why it's so much a surprise. People thought it was going to suck because they did not market that game very much whatsoever, maybe because they were afraid of the connection that it has to Avengers simply by being Marvel.
And that's the thing that sucks about it, too, is that when you do a product like this, you have to go all in, no matter how it is. Like, Ubisoft, you know, for as disastrous as Ubisoft is, right? They do that with Division. They're still supporting Division 2, even though they don't have active new content out. Every single day, I see tweets about maintenance. I see tweets about season stuff happening there. They keep doing that. There's constantly that communication going forward. And you have to have your company behind you as a development team to kind of push that. And I think what really kills me about this whole games as a service thing is that, like, everyone saw what Destiny 1 was. Everyone saw what that game was. Everyone saw how that game launched, had great user base, and then everyone left it because it had none of this, had none of that. And Bungie had to put in the work, you know, to get that back in. You know, then Taken King came out, cemented that game status. And they did it again with the Destiny 2. And look at it now. It's going to have one of its biggest launches here with Witch Queen. It's like that's the approach you have to do. You have to be all in on this. And it's just that's the frustrating part of it. Is just that like, you know, you could sit there and say like, yeah, it wasn't the right team. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if it's the right team now at this point. You have to go in there and have to help out. You have to go in there and make sure that this is look at your you know, competitors and everything like that. That's how you figure this stuff out.
And I can't disagree that games as a service has a future. It obviously does. So many are moving towards it. But the better question is, was it meant for Avengers? Not was it meant for Crystal Dynamics? Was games as a service the right fit for Avengers? And that's where Square Enix is taking none of the responsibility, none of the ownership, none of the blame, as pointed out by Rick in the chat. And that is really sort of disgusting to point to Crystal Dynamics and call them a failure, insinuate that they failed at this mission that they had. Maybe you shouldn't have given them games as a service. Maybe you shouldn't have done games as a service at all. That was your choice. You were the one that chose to do that for this franchise. This is Avengers. This is one of the biggest franchises in the entire world. And
games as a service Avengers thing should just totally work. It shouldn't take like that much thought into this. And it's just the fact that this title seemed to have unfocused errors, as you said in our call, is so bizarre to me. Like, it feels like if something like that would pass like our hands, we'd be like, wait, why is this like this? You know? Yeah. And it felt like it was just like, oh, cool. Pass the check mark. Here you go. Put it out in the world. What? People don't like this?
I mean, I have to admit, Crystal Dynamics probably wasn't the right choice for games as a service. I mean, I think that's kind of obvious. That's not to disparage them, because they did very fine work on Tomb Raider. But what is Tomb Raider? Tomb Raider is a linear, for the most part, action adventure game. Like, it's a third-person shooter with one specific character, and that's what they've kind of been doing for a while. That's their trajectory. That's what they do. And you put them on this very online multiplayer focused thing. What works with Avengers? Not ironically, it's the single player campaign, if you want to call it that. Single player. No. It's the campaign. It's the linear narrative campaign that people say is actually pretty good about Avengers. What a surprise! The thing that they came from is what they're good at. Like, no shit. Like, that's what worked, because that's what they're good at. You should have given games as a service to a team that knew games as a service. Now, you could try and argue that maybe they should have rose to the challenge and they should have figured out how to make it work, but it's not all on them. That's the thing, is to put it all on them and really take none of the responsibility is gross.
This just reminds me a lot of Anthem all over again. Whereas Anthem had to deal with the internal team sabotage, you still had that same sort of issue, you know, just like you can't sit there and have a team that's going to be a dedicated a single player massive lore building, you know, the game designer, and be like, hey, we want you to make a robot Iron Man games of service type game.
Yeah.
Like, look what happened.
Yeah. Dustin says, same thing with Grove Street Games and Rockstar. Did they do a good job porting GTAs over to mobile? Kinda. Did they need to remaster them for consoles? Negative. Not even a little. It was a cash grab. I think we can all see that now. Looking at Definitive Edition, at least, that's without a doubt feels like a cash grab. Rushed out the door. I mean, that rain.
For no reason either.
What is that rain, dude?
And I'm sorry. The problem with the Definitive Edition of GTA is that Rockstar easily could have gotten $60 per game if they would have remastered each game individually, brought them all up, and no one would have batted an eye. And now that you have this pseudo, hey, we're going to put it in Unreal 4, but we're going to update it, but we're not going to update it, but we're going to update it. We're going to do this to the environment, but we're not going to do this. It was just like, no, you either commit or you don't commit.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Crazy. I mean, Rockstar, Take-Two. Like, they've sold, what, 140 million copies of GTA 5? They've got more money than God, and they couldn't like put enough behind this remaster to make it something worthy of the legacy of Grand Theft Auto. Just absolutely insane. I don't want to focus on that too much, but thank you to Boca Loca for the compliment to the man cave. Appreciate that. Going back to Crystal Dynamics, we know that they've been partnered up with Microsoft Initiative for Perfect Dark. Are they just kind of being like thrown away by Square Enix at this point? Like, hey, you guys failed us. We're gonna throw you at the initiative. You guys, get right over there.
So from what I understand, which this was a lot of reading on my aspect, I was worried about that initially. Remember when we covered that story, I was like, wait, what was going on? So I found out they have, I think it's 3 development teams. Those 3 development teams are huge. The one that is going to be assisting with Perfect Dark is mostly the Tomb Raider team, which has kind of put the Tomb Raider project a little bit on hold. Just a teeny bit, apparently. The Avengers team is pretty okay still. They made enough money from MCU skins. They apparently have enough support for year 2. And I don't know what Team 3 is doing. The thing that kind of sucks about that is, well, it doesn't suck. I'm sorry. It's nice to see that they actually have work for that other team. But I don't think you need to have detriment to your internal projects first, if that makes sense. Like the fact that this Tomb Raider project is now apparently like put on hold to like, let them work on the initiative project is like, I think is kind of weird to me. And that's just where I feel like the European branch of Square Enix kind of does get what you said thrown around. They kind of get like Eidos Montreal. They made Deus Ex Humankind Revolution and Mankind Divided, 2 fantastic games. Mankind Divided ends on a terrible cliffhanger. That was supposed to be a trilogy, right? And because that game underperformed, they didn't do anything. They got thrown to the Avengers project. And they had enough work wall to make where they can do Guardians, and that was working on just as much as well, from what I understand. And again, now that they're done with Guardians, what are they doing? I think they're just getting thrown right back into Avengers, and it's just weird.
Yeah, without a doubt. I do feel for them. I do think they're a strong team when they're put on the right projects. It's just they need to be put on what they're good at or what they have at least some type of trajectory towards. Like, something makes sense for them, which I just don't know that Avengers Games as a Service was that. Let's jump to our final topic. We're going to go through this pretty quickly because we are a little bit over tonight.
Cutting into your time.
But Elden Ring had its network test, and there's been a lot of videos put out, first impressions, previews on this game. And it looks so good to me.
It's phenomenal. I can't even pronounce phenomenal and stunning together.
It's one of those things where for a while there I was nervous because you guys know how I feel about open world, and I was like, I so much love the Soulsborne, Sekiro,
that intricate level design, right?
That design, where it's like kind of grows and spreads out and finding shortcuts and unlocking ways to get back to these areas more quickly. I love that design. So when they said open world, it's like, how does this work in open world? And now we know. Yeah. We've seen it. And it's just so exciting to me, actually, to see this huge world, like when they're standing on the cliff and they have the tree in the back and all the colors and the vibrancy of it all. And then also that yellow wisp that represents guiding you down this linear path.
Golden path.
Golden path. Yeah, the one that I might choose very often. But I love that about it. And it feels like it's taking influence and inspiration from a lot that came before. You brought up Ghost of Tsushima. I think a lot of people recognize Breath of the Wild as well when it comes to landmark, beacons and things like that in this world. How it goes all the way to the sky and you can see it from any point in the world and you travel towards that. But also just how fluid it feels in encountering enemies and in bosses and caves and treasure and very unique characters, whether it be talking monkeys or whatever. It's just like it all flowed so well to me in what I viewed. I was very impressed by it.
Yeah, I think what's really exciting about this type of project, which we don't get very often, we really honestly don't get these type of projects very often, but this is a project that's going to show off a developer's entire encompassed knowledge from a genre. Like, think about what they started off with Demon Souls, and Elden Ring is now the end result of that entire path. You had Demon Souls, you had all of Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Sekiro, and Bloodborne. And like that's what's really cool is you can see all the elements in there. I know some complain about the animation recycling, but I was like, that's just game development at this point. When you start doing that, it is.
Do you want the game to be out in 2 years, or do you want it to be out in 5? Like,
right? It's like those are things that as gamers we need to kind of.
That was like, that brings me back to the God of War one for Ragnarok, when people were like, oh my God, he jumps into the boat in the same exact way. It's like, that's what you're looking at? Yeah. That 3-minute trailer, and that's what you were looking at, was how he got into the boat? Like, come the fuck on. Like, get that. Just get out of it.
It's one of those things. From game development, you just need to just let that go. Developers work hard enough as it is. Code is, think about it. At the end of the day, what you're looking at is a bunch of lines with a bunch of zeros and ones and text randomly put together.
But it's been 3 years since the last game, Vince. Don't you think he would change the way he jumps into boats at that point? No, he's a new man.
I don't think
child has grown up. He's going to be completely different in how he maneuvers himself into boats.
Nah.
Boats. When does Elden Ring come out?
February, man.
Oh, yeah, right there with Horizon.
3rd or 5th. I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I
hate to prioritize it over Horizon.
It's going to be Elden Ring.
I have to.
It's Elden Ring.
Yeah, I'm just so excited for it. It just looks, the world looks so beautiful too. It's Dark Souls 4, don't get me wrong. It really does look like Dark Souls 4 in a lot of ways, but there's like a vibrancy to it that stands out to me in the way that Dark Souls typically did not.
And the thing that's what's crazy too is that if calculations are correct, you've only seen 1/16 of the map.
I can't disagree with Boko Loca. I do think that something gets delayed. Is it Elden Ring? Is it Horizon? Is it something else that's also right there in that vicinity? Because I think there's some other things, but some things have got to move, I feel like.
Well, if I remember right, Dying Light 2 is at the very start of the month. That's February 5th. Destiny 2, The Witch Queen is February 22nd as well. That's not going to move. That's set in stone. Elden Ring could get moved one more month if they have more network test issues, which has been kind of a thing somewhat. Okay. Not like major issues, but like if that stuff's not snuff, I could see them moving that past. Saints Row again is up in the air. To me, I feel like that game would actually benefit from moving into the summertime slot. Saifu is also the exact same time as well. That's got an indie approach. That's an indie approach though. So I mean, that's one of the thing there. Horizon, I feel like Horizon's going to plant its foot down on that. That's close to the anniversary of the first game as well.
Yeah.
And I think they really honestly wanted to launch in September. That was actually part of the whole GeForce leak because the PC version would have came out like a year later on September. So it was one of those that pointed to that being September.
It's between Horizon and Elden Ring. I agree. I think Elden Ring is the one that moves.
Yeah.
Not Horizon. I think Horizon has figured out its date, and I think they will stick to it at this point. But more than one thing is going to move, in my opinion, of the list that has been posted in chat. And that's fine. Going back to Elden Ring real quick, though. Another thing that I really loved about it was the difference in boss battles that happen organically on the open world and ones where you go down into like a dungeon or like a cavern and then you're like kind of locked into a traditional Soulsborne type scenario where there's no way out. You find your way through and then you get to this arena and you've got this boss battle and there's no getting out of it. You're there at that point. Whereas if you encounter a boss battle in the open world, you can technically run away from it. And also if you die, it's not as simple as going back to the previous site of grace. There are also all these little markers throughout the game where you might be very likely to start right where you left off, right before the boss battle began. For that reason, watching it, and I saw a lot of people saying this, I have to agree with it, this feels like it's going to be the most accessible Soulsborne game that we've ever had.
Well, the fact that you can completely skip the tutorial in 2 as well, to me, is incredible. Like, you don't have to do a tutorial at all in this game. You can just go straight out. Yeah. And I think that shows that there's confidence in how they present their systems and everything like that. I mean, even look at their inventory screen. That inventory screen is no longer that cluttered mess of menus and stuff like that. It's got that more of that big square, picturesque, here's what you're picking and everything like that. It's very much more streamlined and modern, quote unquote modern, if that makes sense.
I would agree with that. And yes, I agree. Horizon won't get delayed. I do agree with that. I think that is the one that sticks the landing. There was one other thing with that Elden Ring that I was going to say real quick. I lost my train of thought. I think they have six different builds that you can take on right now, right? In the network test.
Because you can't do your own character creation right now. They have just presets ready to go.
Yeah. There was one other thing that was coming to mind, and I unfortunately lost my train of thought on it. But yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
I mean, the fact that sneaking is a viable strategy and that it wasn't Sekiro and things like that. It's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah. And the
how
traversal too. That was the other thing I was going to bring up. Using what's the name of your ox in that game? I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember.
But the way it can, when at certain points it can jump enormous heights, or if you want to like drop down to a lower level, you want to use that, or you could use that because that has a double jump. Like you jump down and right before you hit the ground, you double jump with the ox, so you don't sustain that damage. It makes it feel, once again, not, I don't want to simplify because there's so many comparisons that get made to this game, but it's Breath of the Wild in that it really does feel like you can get anywhere that you want to go, especially when you're utilizing the ox. And that exploration, that sense of openness, is actually very exciting to me because Breath of the Wild is one of the few open world games this past generation, if you want to call it that, that did connect with me in a major way.
Yeah.
I was very excited about that.
No, I agree. I mean, like, that's the thing. That's the really cool thing about Elden Ring. There's so many potential just routes, ways to play. You don't have to take the golden path. You can go explore and do whatever. I just, to me, that's so cool to put a From game with that type of atmosphere and everything like that is just, oh my God.
I remember what I was going to ask you now. Speaking of the accessibility, how many people do you think that's going to upset, actually? Do you think it pleases more people than upsets, or do you think it upsets more people?
I think this game is going to have a reputation for being easy for whatever reason. And I think people are going to be like, it's not a true hardcore Souls experience. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to matter because Sekiro has the exact same thing. I don't know if you've noticed that. It's where people are like, oh, you just got to spam the block button and you can just win any boss fight. It's just like, okay, cool. I still love it.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, it's like
also that game is like one of the hardest games I've ever played. So shut your damn mouth. But I think that there's already this gatekeeping that happens, especially within the Souls genre. There's this elite like nature to it all, elitism, and we're gonna 100% see that with Elden Ring when it comes out. That this isn't true Soulsborne. Anybody that plays this one as their first game, you don't know what true Souls games are.
I mean, even Bloodborne had that initially when it first started, and then people kind of shut up real quick because they're like, oh shit, it is hard. But like whenever like the beta test was like, just hack and slash.
It depends on the game. Like you guys have seen from me, like Bloodborne actually was not that difficult for me. I don't know what happened with that one that it connected with me. And some people are the opposite, where like Sekiro was easy to them, and I was like, Sekiro is like one of the hardest games I've ever played. Like the parry system just didn't. I love the game. It's one of my favorite games in the Souls genre, but I wasn't getting it in that I wasn't doing it well. Like I get it, like it works just fine. It's a great system. It's just I wasn't very good at it, which is fine. I had to work a little harder in that game to get to the end, but it was unbelievably satisfying when I beat that final boss. One of the most exciting final boss battles I've ever experienced because of that 4 hours that I spent trying to beat him. If it was that, I can't remember. It was something like that. But that's what I'm so excited to get back to with Elden Ring. And it being a little bit easier might be a little bit of a breath of fresh air, actually, to be able to go through one of these genre titles and feel like I'm not being just beaten down into submission so often, you know? We'll have to wait and see. Souls fanboys are so annoying, says Rick. X1 the Gamer is here. How you doing? Yes, we're live on multiple platforms tonight. We're multi-streaming tonight. Why is it gatekeeping if you just enjoy hard games and want to see an experience tailored entirely around that? I find this argument so bizarre. That is nothing to do with what we're talking about. No, what we're talking about is people that push people away, like and act like they're not worthy of their elite Souls games. You know what I mean? Like I don't get that. It's just
stupid. Especially now. Here's the thing. Gaming has changed, so get the fuck over it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And one game having like more accessibility options, like, come on. If you're gonna like push these people away, like, no, go back into your corner, baby. Like this isn't true Souls. Like that's what I'm talking about. That type of gatekeeping that I think is unfair. Like it's a Souls game. It's made by Miyazaki. Like if people come out and are like, this isn't a Souls game, like, nah, screw you guys. You're just being gatekeepers. That's all there is to it. If you wanted a more difficult game, that is fine. That's totally
or just make it more difficult for yourself. Dude, fist only. I don't see anyone talking about. Yeah, see, boom.
Nothing wrong with wanting a game to be more difficult. Just don't gatekeep. Even Old Hunters DLC was easy for you. Yeah, actually, Old Hunters wasn't too bad. Of course, the final battle against Orphan of Kos, is that the name? Orphan of Kos was tough. That was a tough battle. That one took me a little while, for sure. Rick got Kos first try. I don't understand that, Rick. You're amazing, man. That's amazing.
Hey, you know, final battle for Sekiro for me. God, what's his name? That was 2.5 hours on stream for me. I went from 20 deaths to 137.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was so cool at Sekiro because I was like, 20 deaths, I'm doing great. Yeah, that was brutal.
I think Kaz probably took me. It took me a while, but it didn't take me near as long as it took me Ishin. Not even close. Kaz was felt a lot easier to me than Ishin did in Sekiro. You know what I mean? But yeah. I loved it. Either way, I loved it. All those games, man, they're fantastic. The fantasy theme is so appealing to me. I can't wait to explore the world. 100%. I love how creative it feels too, and sort of light in some ways, like the monkey or the pot that was buried in the dirt, like little things like that. Like it's a little different to me than what I've seen in some of the other. Maybe I'm like used to Bloodborne, imagining that and how gothic it is, that grimdark. Where this one feels like it has some levity here and there. Actually, I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but something about that actually really connected with me watching the previews and made me even more excited for it.
I think the main story is definitely going to have its grim, dark, very grimness to it, whereas I think that's kind of why in the open world it has more of that like cool light and whimsical aspects to it at times.
So dark, so grim. All right, guys, that is the show, but we're not done here on the channel, guys. I'll be following up the stream with the finale to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. We're heading towards the final chapters. We really should finish it tonight, so stick around even after our little credits here for Next Level Direct, and come back for Guardians. To those heading out, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Next Level Direct. We had 41 people in the room right now when you count all channels. We got 32 on Twitch, 7 on YouTube, 2 over on Facebook. I call this a success tonight. Really happy to see some new people stopping back in, courtesy of the multi-streaming. If you are new to the channel, hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/TheLevelUpShow. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get alerts whenever we go live. I'm on every Wednesday and Sunday with Variety Gaming. Also, we do occasional extra streams like Next Level Direct, like the Lights Up Show, first Saturday of every month. That's my movies and television talk show. Vince and I will be back in a couple weeks with our other gaming talk show, Next Level Gamescast. So that's a longer form one. We really dive deep into gaming news and discussion on the industry on that. So hit that follow button on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell, get alerts when we upload or go live. And if you're watching on Facebook, something we're really trying out for the first time, we only got a couple people there, but I think multiple people filtered in throughout the night. Hit the follow button also on Facebook at fb.gg/TheLevelUpNetwork. And we hope to see you next time. Vince will be back in the near future.
Near future.
Yeah, maybe YouTube, maybe Twitch. Keep an eye out. You know, we'll make sure you guys know. Get on our Discord. It's a great way to keep in touch with me and Vince and the entire community of the Level Up Network at discord.gg/TheLevelUpNetwork. Hope to see you guys for Guardians or throughout the week with gaming talk shows and game streams. Until next time, take care. And as always, don't forget to level up.